In case you're wondering where JP Chase are, that's where they are. You and I are only here together for a few short days. We need to ask ourselves, what changes because of what we experience here? What are the calls to action to which we will respond? How is the world made different, made better after Summit? Those were questions I started pondering about 3 months ago as I started to prepare for this moment and tried to capture where we are and where we need to go to as a community. In order to answer that question, I needed to know what the pulse of Summit was going to be this year. I asked the amazing team at Out and Equal to send me the outline of all 150 workshops and panels that are taking place this week. Working for a bank and in tech, I'm a bit of a data geek. So naturally, I built a spreadsheet to slice and dice all of this data. It allowed me to hone in on a recurring theme, a topic that I see as essential for our community, and especially for those of us in this room. How do we build an LGBT inclusive workplace that is truly inclusive beyond our corporate headquarters? The need to develop a workplace culture at a global scale is something I'm acutely aware of through all of the global LGBTQ work we do at Out and Equal, and through my role at JP Chase, where I've lived in Asia, Latin America, North America, and Europe over the last 2 decades. All regions I still travel to frequently. Now, we all know that it's difficult to implement a policy or change a practice for the benefit of LGBTQ employees, even if your corporate company headquarters are based here in the US. It's also no walk in the park to get a public statement issued in support of LGBTQ rights in the country of your HQ. But everybody in this room should understand, once that happens, it puts in motion a much larger chain reaction. A bridge gets crossed, a bridge which won't easily get uncrossed. As LGBTQ employees around the globe see this type of progress occur in the home base of their company, they will start to begin to yearn for that same progress where they are. We need to replicate these victories. We need to lean into the rising expectations in all corners of our company's global operations. Multinationals where ERG chapters communicate with each other across country and state borders are particularly well placed to do this. But make no mistake, taking advantages of these moments is not easy. Rather, it is a really hard slog to make these advances a reality in all of the places where a company does business. And there are a number of reasons why, even for the largest multinational companies in the world, this is a challenge. Sometimes governments will explicitly tell companies they cannot publicly advocate for LGBTQ equality. In other countries, there are privacy laws that hinder the rollout of LGBTQ self-ID. And your company may have made a public statement in support for LGBTQ rights in the US. But what if the country you want your company to take a stand in is Taiwan or Brazil? It's not the same thing, is it? Or your company may have introduced gender reassignment surgery coverage back at HQ. But what if trans employees are asking for this in India or the Philippines? Right? That's a bigger reach. To achieve these advancements in your HQ is hard enough. It can be really tough in those countries where you don't have sizable HR, legal, or government relations teams. You might also not have the same support from the local executives in the same way global executives back in HQ stand with us. Bear in mind, many of our corporate headquarters are in some of the most LGBTQ inclusive cities in the world. Did you know that half of the Fortune 500 companies are headquartered in 10 of the most LGBTQ-friendly cities in the US. There's a real risk that the corporate decision makers in those cities set priorities based on an untested assumption that what they see around them is the reality everywhere. They'll think they can move on to the next set of D&I priorities. This is why Summit is so important to me. This is where we get what we need to overcome these obstacles. This is where people can connect and contextualize what's going on in their region and around the globe. It is a rich, fertile ground where tried and tested approaches can be learned and taken back to every continent. Our cause is global. My first summit was 6 years ago. I remember the workshops I went to that taught me what I needed to know to get our Pride Brazil ERG off the ground. I came back again and again, and I built a network of contacts at other companies. This network, these relationships forged walking between workshops or riding escalators at Summit, they made a difference. We were able to call on each other at key moments, and together, we, each of us in our own companies, got our companies across the line to sign on to public statements in Taiwan, in Singapore, in Japan, and in Poland. I want to do a special shout out to 3 people in the room here today who embody this quest for global LGBT equality. Shane Mills from India, who's an inspiring ERG leader. Shane is an inspiring ERG leader and is blazing a trail for herself and other out trans women in the workplace. Robert Ronneberg from China, who's part of a core group of companies in the country who are standing strong in the face of challenges to demonstrate what inclusivity and belonging means to them. And my personal favorite, Ananda Pushta from Brazil, who's a fierce advocate and has argued cases in front of the Brazilian Supreme Court, recently resulting in the court's decision to outlaw discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. They are bold, they are brave, and they're making it happen. All of this work is hard, but I am upbeat. Let me tell you why. Companies are in a unique position to help accelerate the rate of positive change around the globe. Look at India. Just a year ago, homosexual acts were decriminalized. Within months, a number of leading multinationals introduced same-sex partner medical benefits. In Western Europe and the US, it took more than 2 decades to go from decriminalization to same-sex partner benefits. Multinational companies can help countries leapfrog along the continuum of LGBT equality. So I will ask the question again. How is the world made different, made better after Summit? It is made better because of what you do. If you care fiercely about a future where every workplace in every US state and in every country around the world, if you care that every workplace allows us to bring our full selves to work, you can be a role model to those less bold. But let's take it up a notch. I challenge each of you to embolden your colleagues in every location. If you're a senior leader here today, I challenge you to fully exert your influence. What does that look like? Start by asking questions. Why doesn't this country or that country have the same benefits for LGBTQ employees as I do here at HQ? When possible, ask your top executives to consider bringing up these important issues with leaders in countries that are still at the start of their LGBT journey. For those of you who are not senior leaders, I challenge you to connect with other ERG chapters across your company. You should start asking questions too. What do you need? How can I help? What can we learn from each other? There are more than 6,000 people from across 42 countries at Summit this year. That's more than ever before. It's a show of strength. It's also an indication our work is far from done. I want to thank the workshop presenters who are driving this particular conversation about impact at a global scale forward at Summit. We all have so much we can learn here. We have alliances to build. Each of us in this room has the potential to bring about change for literally millions of people around the world. That impact is very, very real. Thank you for being here this week, and thank you for everything that you're going to do once you leave Summit. Thank you.